We give thanks to Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for His mercy and blessing on us. We seek for His mercy and blessing from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. May the peace and blessing continue to be upon His household, His companion, and all the Muslims till the day of Qiyamah. Our class continues today. We are still with the book Kitabu Tawhid by Sheikh Al-Fawzan. Yesterday we discussed إدعاء حق التشريع والتحريم والتحليل. So claiming the right to legislate, to legalize, or to make something unlawful. So the next chapter under this, or the next section under this chapter, is the one that says حكم الانتماء إلى مذاهب الإلحادية والأحزاب الجاهلية. What is the Islamic ruling on association or adhering to or giving allegiance to al-madhahib al-ilhadiyya, ideologies that has to do with atheist or atheistic ideology, and wal-azabu al-jahiliyya, and un-Islamic movements, un-Islamic ideological movements. So here Sheikh wants to tell us or discuss with us the Islamic ruling on association with group of people, of movements or ideology that are not Islamic. Either they are atheistic or they are just non-Muslim, or even some of them that claim to be Muslims, probably they exhibit some non-Islamic teaching and practices. So what is the Islamic ruling on association or being identified with this group of people? So Sheikh in his book, he said, Al-intimahu ila al-madhahib al-ilhadiyya ka-shu'iyya wal-almaniyya wa rasmaliyya wa ghayruha min al-madhahib al-kufri riddatun an ad-din al-Islam. When somebody associates himself or herself to any of these movements or ideological movements, such as capitalism, socialism, secularism, and all those group of movements, ideological movements. When you associate yourself or you identify yourself with them, he said it is ridda and a din Islam. So you have renounced the din of Islam. So somebody may wonder, why would that be so? If you understand what that kind of movement is all about, if you understand what the ideology is all about, and you still feel comfortable to be associated or to be identified with such group, it means you have renounced Islam. Because the group, the ideology in the first place, they were anti-Islam. The group in the first place, they go against or they fight Islam. So something that fights Islam or go against Islam, when people associate or identify themselves with it, it means you are telling us that you are part of them. So he said, if you are associated with them, if the person that associates himself with them, فَإِنْ كَانَ الْمُنْتَمِي إِلَى تِلْكَ الْمَذَاهِبِ يَدَّعِي الْإِسْلَامِ فَهَذَا مِنَ النِّفَاقِ الْأَكْبَرِ. If the person that associates himself or that relates with them, if he claims to be a Muslim, he said, this is a clear nifaq. This is hypocrisy. So if it is not Muslim, it is understandable that he does not have Islam originally. But if he's a Muslim and you know that this is anti-Islam and you are still associating yourself with it, so you are actually fighting Islam, or you are supporting the enemy of Islam. And nobody will do that except a munafiq, somebody that has nifaq in his heart. If you look at the topic again, so he mentioned two of this ideology of movement in the two broad categories. Number one, he mentioned al-Ilhadiyya, then he mentioned Madhahib al-Jahiliyya. So Ilhadiyya, that is atheist. So atheists, atheism actually means denying existence of God. That is atheism. That is Ilhad. And according to Islamic principle, when you deny or you go against anything Islamic or anything defined, either in Quran or in nature, then you are performing atheism. Like if you claim Quran is not from Allah, or you say prophets fabricated it, or you say something is inside it when it is not, you are actually performing what is. Allah said in Surah Al-Fawzan and some other place. Allah said, وَلَقَدْ نَعْلَمُ أَنَّهُمْ يَقُولُونَ إِنَّمَا يُعَلِّمُهُ بَشَرٌ. Allah said, we have understood and we know that they claim that this Quran is being taught to Prophet Muhammad by a human being. Allah said, لِسَانُ الَّذِي يُلْهِدُونَ إِلَيْهِ أَعْجَمِيٌّ وَهَذَا لِسَانُ عَرَبِيٌّ مُبِينٌ. لِسَانُ الَّذِي يُلْهِدُونَ إِلَيْهِ. This is ilhad. So Allah said, the language they are doing ilhad to. In other words, so when you claim that Quran is not from Allah, it's a form of ilhad. It's a form of negating the truth that has come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because the word ilhad originally or fundamentally, it actually means when you deviate from the right path. So if this is the right path, when you deviate from it, that is ilhad. So when you change the truth, or when you modify the truth, or when you bend the truth, it's a form of ilhad. So it is not possible for this world to exist. It is not possible for the world, for the universe or multiverse or the cosmos to be in existence without a being that is creating and controlling it. Now, because what the atheists, what they are actually saying is that they believe in what? They believe that the God, they believe in the process that's happening, but they don't believe in a creator and they don't believe in purpose. That is fouled up. That is chaos of the highest order. If you believe that something happened or something exists, and you don't believe that something must have caused the existence, and you don't believe that that thing that is in existence must be for a particular purpose, that is actually against human reasoning. And this is what it is claiming. So in other words, they believe that there is no God anywhere. And that is why some of them believe that there can be no hereafter. There is no resurrection, there is no birth, there is no Isab, there is no Jannah, there is no now. This is part of their belief. But the truth is that it is just satanic deception. Nobody doesn't believe it. Some of them that claim that when they die, they should not bury them. They should just throw away their what? Their corpse. Some of them say their corpse should be burnt away. But you see, the inconsistency in this piece is that how do you believe in death? You actually, your existence starts from somewhere, and you also end at a particular point. Don't you believe that follows a certain pattern and order? And don't you think there's a law or there's a force behind it? It is actually due to inability to reason correctly. And sometimes it is not inability to reason correctly. It is a deliberate attempt to mislead others. Because in most cases, these people that carry out ilhad or other form of un-Islamic ideology, they actually know what they are doing, but they do it in order to mislead others. Just like Shaitan. Are you telling me Shaitan doesn't know Allah? There is no point from Quran from A to Z that Shaitan wants to address Allah and he address Allah with disrespect. There is no point. He said, Fabi is Zatika. He said, Rabbi. There is no point. Which means Shaitan identify Allah. Kamazali Shaitan. He's called Al-Insan. Kul falama kabara qala inni what? Akhafullah. That is Shaitan talking. On the day of Qiyamah, Inna Allah wa'adakum wa'ada al-haqqa wa wa'atukum fa'akhlaftukum wa ma kana liya alaykum illa an da'awtukum fastajabtumuli fala talumuni wa lumu anfusakum. He said, wa inna Allah wa'adakum. Allah give you promise. Is that not a confirming Allah and His power and His promise? So Shaitan actually know Allah. Shaitan is not misleading you because he doesn't know Allah or doesn't know the truth. He knows Allah. In fact, he doesn't actually mention a word of disrespect to Allah. It is just his arrogance and the anger and the wrath of Allah on him that make him to misbehave. You see, when you have arrogance in your heart and you are not ready to let it go, the next thing is the wrath of Allah. And when the wrath of Allah, either in form of ghadab or in form of lana or in form of salt, then the next thing is that you will be misbehaving. Your heart will become coarse. You will not be benefiting from the word of Allah. Allah said, Allah said, Allah said, what's the verse in Surah Al-Ma'idah? Allah said, لَعَنَّاهُمْ وَجَعَلْنَا قُلُوبَهُمْ قَاشِيَةً يُعَرِّفُونَ الْكَلِمَةَ أَمَّا وَعَدِهِ. What did you know that verse?
فَبِمَا نَقْضِهِمْ
Allah said, فَبِمَا نَقْضِهِمْ مِيثَاقَهُمْ. Because they violate the covenant they made with Allah. So, in this way, Allah said, our la'nah descend on them. So, a sign of la'nah on somebody is that he will not benefit from the word of Allah. When you invite him to the right path, he will not see sense in it. He will not reason correctly. He will not be logical in his reasoning. Anything of Allah he will not like it. He will hate it, he will dislike it. It is not him that like it, that dislike it. It is the law of Allah that is working on it. Allah says, la'annahu, the land of Allah. You see, Allah is not a human being. If human being want to do la'ana, sometimes he does it what? Emotionally, isn't it? But Allah is not a human being. Allah is not an emotional being. Allah is absolutely Allah and is above every other thing. So when Allah wants to la'ana somebody, it means there is a law. When you work against that law, then the consequence of that law will be applicable to you. And that is the case of somebody who misbehaves. Then the la'ana of Allah is that when you misbehave, then there will be consequence. When you disbelieve, when you break the covenants, then you be the la'ana or the God of Allah comes and you misbehave. And what we are actually saying is that these people that engage themselves in ilhad, some of them, in most cases, it's not because they don't actually know that what they are doing is wrong. It's because they want to mislead others. It's because they want people to what? To violate the law of Allah. And the madhahibul jahiliyyah that is also mentioned here is referring to what? The un-Islamic ideology. Al-Jahiliyyah in this sense actually means anything that is opposite Islam is Jahiliyyah. That is why the time before the advent of Islam, before Allah sent Prophet Musa, he called what? He called what? Asl what? Jahiliyyah. So, and anything, and that is why in the Quran, anything that go against the law of Allah or that go against the social of Allah or the order of Allah, it is called Jahiliyyah. Hamiyatul Jahiliyyah, Hukumul Jahiliyyah, Tabarujul Jahiliyyah. So, and also there are some practices that Prophet also called Jahiliyyah. So when they say Jahiliyyah in this case, it means un-Islamic. So when they say Madhahibul Jahiliyyah, it means movements or ideologies that are un-Islamic. Then how do you know that a movement is un-Islamic? If it goes against any law, if it goes against any provision of the Quran and Hadith, Sunnah, the Quran and the Kitabu or Sunnah, it is automatically un-Islamic. It is automatically what? One of the madhahib of Jahiliyyah. So, for a human being to now associate himself with that, or to be identified with such group, it means one of two things. It's either you are fundamentally a kafir, or you are a munafiq. Because if you claim to be a Muslim, and the meaning claiming to be a Muslim means you submit your faith. And Islam means you submit to the law of Allah. Because Allah said the nature, the cosmos, the universe, they also what? Muslim. Are they human beings like us? Are they human beings? But they are Muslim in the sense that they submit to the law of Allah. Like when Allah wants to create the world, Allah said, Allah instruct the heaven and earth. Allah said, Itya tawhan aw karha. Qalata atayna. They submit to the law of Allah. So submitting to the law of Allah means you wanted to accept the law of Allah. So now if you claim to submit to the law of Allah, if you see anything that go against the law of Allah and you still support it, or you are identified with it, it means you are waging war against what you claim to have submitted or to have supported in the first place. And that is the fact. That is what is called hypocrisy. And the scholars, they said the levels of association with these ideologies or movements can be classified into 8 different groups or 8 different categories or levels. The first one is al-intimahu, like it is mentioned here. So then we have the second one, al-muwalat. And then we have the third one, al-asuhba. And then we have the fourth one, al-ta'awunu. And we have the fifth one, al-mu'amala. And we have the sixth one, al-muhawaru. So, out of all these systems, when somebody or when you see something that is un-Islamic, There are some of them that is permissible and there are some of this level that is not permissible. For example, the first one, which is al-intima, that is al-intima will actually mean to be identified with a particular group or association or ideology or a society or a movement, and you don't hide it. It means you have identified yourself with them. So if it is un-Islamic and you identify yourself with them without any fear of being contradicted, you are telling yourself you are no more a Muslim. That's the meaning. Then the muwalat. Muwalat does not mean you necessarily associate yourself with them. But when you sympathize with them, when you love them in your heart, when you are emotionally attached to them, and that is the case of some of these movies we watch. That is the case of some of the things we witness in the society today. Because when you get used to something and you get used to it with time, you get emotionally attached to that thing. You feel attached to that thing. You feel sorry or you feel you love that thing in one way or the other. Even when that thing against the law of Allah. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu he said, "Man ahabba shay'an fahuwa minhu." If you love anything, you don't need to be there. No matter wherever that thing is located on the earth's surface. You don't need to be there. You don't need to be physically present there. But you love it, you want to be associated with it. Prophet said you are part of it. On the day of Qiyamah, you'll be resurrected with that thing. Today, when they mention the name of Prophet Muhammad, some people may not even feel anything they mention. But when you mention the name of a footballer, they say, yes, that's my fan, that's my club, that's... Don't even fight over it. Some even fight, some even kill themselves, some even bet. Fight. That is the extent to which they are being attached to such a kind of thing. And some it is the musician or what do you call it, comedian. Some they want to appear the way those people appear when they watch them on the screen. So this is the hairstyle, so that is the same hairstyle you see on his head. But if they say this is the sunnah of prophet, no. The world has advanced more than that. We are in an advanced age. Subhanallah. But when they say a comedian, a musician, do one mad hairstyle, you don't feel ashamed to emulate him. He dressed in a particular way, he walked in a particular way, he behaved in a particular way. You want to exhibit that kind of thing, and you are not ashamed. Because he's a what? Because he's famous, because he has followers. So be informed that on the day of Qiyamah, you will be resurrected alongside the people you love. Some scholars they said, Kaaba is the most sacred place on the earth surface. And Ibadah, if you offer one rakah there, it will be equivalent to when you pray in other masjid 1,000 times. Just one prayer in Makkah. If you observe it there, if you want to have the same reward you have there, you have to pray like 1,000 times in other masjid. Can you imagine the number of days or the number of years you have to pray? Now, let's assume somebody is praying in Mecca every day for the whole of his life. He fasts every day and is also in what? In Mecca or in Kaaba itself. And he does sadaqah every day. But in his heart, he has love for anything anti-Islam. He will be resurrected with them and he will have the same judgment as them. That is why Prophet said, Man ahabba. In fact, there was somebody that asked Prophet Muhammad, one of the Sahaba, because Prophet is going to be at the highest place in Jannah, and others will be below him. And the distance between one Jannah and other is just that the distance between the heaven and earth. Now, one of the Sahaba said, I am not happy because I feel how will I be able to see you on Jannah because when you are not close to me. Then Prophet said, Al-Marhu Ma'aman. So anybody you love, Allah will you combine with them. So if you love Prophet Islam, so don't worry. So even though you may not have access to go up, but Allah will make prophets to what? To visit you. So you have access to see Prophet. But if it is a musician, if it's a comedian, if it's a footballer, Al-Marhu Ma'aman is the same word that applies to them. Al-Marhu Ma'aman happens. Wallahi, this is the truth. Wallahi, this is the truth. and this is an hadith of the Prophet of Allah. Allah said, لا يتخذ المؤمنون الكافرون أولياء من دون المؤمنين. Allah said, وَمَنْ يَفْعَلُ ذَلِكَ فَلَيْسَ مِنَ اللَّهِ إِلَّا أَنْ تَتَّقُوا مِنْهُمْ وَيُعَذِّرُكُمُ اللَّهُ نَفْسَهُ. Allah said, I am warning you. Don't you have sense? Don't you have sense? Is your sense not working? Allah said, I am warning you. Do not take my enemy, your enemy, the enemy of your deen, as awliya, as your helpers, as your model, as your model. Today, people's model are these people we are mentioning. Prophet is no more their model. Quran doesn't give them model. They don't see model in Islam. Is that not the reality of our society today? Wallahi, it is the reality. Allah said, don't attempt to do that. Allah said, I am warning you of myself. Do you understand that statement? If Allah said, I am warning you of myself, do you know Allah? When Allah said, and these are the instances when Allah mentioned that statement. I am seriously warning you of who I am. If you don't know who I am, go and ask the previous generation. Go and ask about them. Go and read the story of Abraham. Go and read the story of Namrud. Go and read the story of people who have Mufas and Sheikh in the history, in the past. How did I deal with them? And that is a fraction, in fact, 1/70 or 1/60 or 1/100 of the type of punishment they will experience on the day of Qiyamah. And let's say, well, you have to do not make an ally. Do not make us ally, as friend. Who? Those people who have decided to fight Islam. In fact, in one place, Surah Al-Mujadala, Allah said, لا تجد قوما يؤمنون بالله واليوم الآخر يوادون من حاد الله ولو كان آباءهم أو عشيرتهم. Allah said, in fact, if Allah said, anybody that go against Allah and His Messenger, you cannot have mawadda for him. Even if it is your father. Well, this is our last statement. Wallah, even with your children. Wallah, how even if it's your brother, how your relative. So if this category of people, because they fight Allah, because they don't respect Allah, you are not supposed to have mawada for them. What about people who are far from you? What about people who are distant from you? What about people who are not related to you in any manner? How are they supposed to be treated? But we have to understand Islam very well, because sometimes on this particular matter we are mentioning, some people make mistake on it. When Allah says you don't have mawadda for them, or you don't have what do you call it? You don't have mawadda for them, you don't love them, and you don't get associated. That does not actually mean you fight them if they don't fight you. Muslims don't initiate or don't start fight. Don't do that. And that is why in another place Allah said, لا ينهاكم الله عن الذين لم يقاتلوكم ولم. So Allah doesn't stop you from having good muamala with them, but you cannot love them from your heart. You cannot love them. You cannot be emotionally attached to them. If you love somebody from your heart, or you are emotionally, even in fact there are some people who have never seen some people and they get emotionally attached to them because they heard about them. So if it is Muslims, the Sahaba, the Prophet of Allah, so it's actually a good news that you have that, because that is the way you'll be resurrected on the day of Qiyamah. People are going to be resurrected in groups, and the groups will depend on your what, on your attachment, on your interaction, and how you feel, or your association. So, like we said, the first level is what, al-intima, then followed by what, al-muwalat. And this is one of the bases of Tawhid. So, if you claim to have Tawhid, which is the basis of anything you do in Islam, anything you do, if there is no Tawhid, Tawhid is the foundation. Islam is just like a structure, it's just like a building. If you read many of the hadiths of Prophet, he said, Buni al-Islam ala. So, Islam is built just like a structure. So, Islam is the structure, then the foundation is Tawhid. Then the roof is what? The good deeds. So if there is no foundation, can any structure stand? It can never stand. So your Tawhid is necessary. And this Tawhid, three things are fundamentally necessary. The first one is what? Al-ilm. You have to have knowledge about Allah. You cannot say La ilaha illallah, you don't understand what you are saying. It will not be accepted. Allah only accepts what you say consciously and you understand it. That is why Allah says La ikraha fi din. La ikraha fi din means if you force somebody to accept Islam, can that be out of conviction? Can that be from his heart? Then Allah doesn't force anybody. That is why Allah says, I have explained everything. You have sense. That's why I give you sense. Make use of your sense and make a choice based on your sense. So if you make a wrong choice, then that is yours. That is your problem. So the first one is what? Al-ilm. You worship Allah based on certainty, based on knowledge. It has to be knowledge. And the second one is what? You have to distance yourself from anything shirk, anything kufr. You have to distance yourself. You don't romance kufr. You don't romance shirk. You don't play with shirk. If you play with it, chances that you will fall into it is very high. And if you fall into it, that is the end of your life. Inna Allah la yaghfiru an yushraka bihi wa yaghfiru ma duna dhalik. So anything shirk, Allah don't forgive. Anything different from shirk, chances that you will forgive is very high. And the third one is al-wala wal-bara. It's one of the conditions of life. So you have to associate yourself with what? The believers. You have to be identified with the mu'min. There are three Sahaba of Prophet that stayed back, that stayed behind during the Ghazwat during the time of Tabuk. So, and they were just held back and they did not actually renounce Islam. They were not munafiqun, they were good believers. But they did this out of failure from them. And there are many other people that stayed back. They lied to Prophet. They said, Inna buyutana hawra. So they give many excuses to Prophet that they cannot join them in the battle. Then when Prophet came back, he asked them, these three people, they confessed that it was actually an excuse that they don't have any reason. Other people lied and they were what? They were spared. And the Prophet allowed them to go. But for these people that said the truth, since they were good Muslims, Prophet said, people should dissociate and isolate them. Social isolation for 50 days. It's an instruction from Allah. And Prophet applied on them. For 50 days, no Muslim talk to them. No Muslim associate with them. Allah described the feeling they have. And that is a sign that they are good Muslim. If they are not good Muslim, they don't have that feeling. Because at that time, the emperors of some empires, they heard about the story. They have sent letter to them that I heard that your leader is doing this. I will give you a space. Come to me. They said, what sort of insult is this? If it's while you and I, you say, I better forget about it. It doesn't accept me, I have another place to go. You go. That is a sign that Islam is not even in your heart in the first place. Allah said, وَعَلَى ثَلَاثَةِ الَّذِينَ خُلِفُوا حَتَّى إِذَا ضَاقَتْ عَلَيْهِمُ الْأَرْضُ بِمَا رَحُبَتْ وَضَاقَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ أَنفُسُهُمْ. Until they feel very heavy in their hearts. And they feel very distressed. That's why look at the expanse of the land. See how expands. Look at how fast the land is. Allah, they feel constrained. Which means comfort is not actually about space, but about heart. Allah said, وَدَوْقَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ أَنفُسُهُمْ بِمَا So the heart, they were constrained in the heart. Despite the fastness of their heart, despite the space, they feel constrained. And where is the constraint coming from? From their heart. So then when Allah revealed their forgiveness, at the end of that part, Allah said, you should keep the company of the Sadiqun, of the Mu'minun, of the believers. So that on the day of Qiyamah, you be in their company. وَمَا يُطِعِ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ فَأُولَٰئِكَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ أَنْعَمَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِمْ مِنَ النَّبِيِّينَ وَالصِّدِّيقِينَ وَالشُّهَدَاءِ وَالصَّالِحِينَ وَحَسُنَ أُولَٰئِكَ. So, and this verse is actually related to the story we mentioned earlier. That anybody that follow Allah and His Messenger, anybody that love Allah and His Messenger, you are going to be in their company. But if it is somebody else you love or you follow, you are also going to be in their company. Allah said, but the best company wa asuna ulaika. So these are the best company you can ever have. Even here on the day of Qiyamah. So, al-wala wal-bara is one of the conditions of what? You cannot love a mushrik from your heart and you tell me you are a good Muslim. You cannot want somebody who is committing shirk and is not out of mistake or is not out of ignorance, but that is his own way of life. You love him, you have aversion to him, or you are a following emotional attachment to him, and you still claim to be a good Muslim. It's not possible. That's why that particular verse in Surah Al-Jala is telling us. So in fact, that's another Surah Tawbah. Allah says, "Qul in kana aba'ukum wa abna'ukum wa azwajukum." وقل إن كان آباؤكم وأبناؤكم وإخوانكم وأزواجكم وأموال اقترفتموها وتجارة تخشون كسادها ومساكن ترضونها أحب إليكم من الله ورسوله. So Allah said, tell them, ask them, إن كان آباؤكم, if it is your father, how وأبناؤكم, or your children, how ikhwanukum, or your brothers, how azwajukum, or your spouses, how ashiratukum, or your relative, how amwalum nikuta wa masakinu
tawdunaha,
or your house that you love, ahabba ilaykum min Allahi wa rasuli wa jihadin fi sabilillah. So those ones are preferable to you. You give preference to them from Allah and His Messenger. And making jihad in the path of Allah. Allah says, "Fatarabbasu atayati Allah." So just wait, let Allah come. So the judgment really is coming from Allah. So in other words, al-wala wal-bara is fundamental principle or requirement for what? For Tawhid. Well, if you claim to have a Tawhid, these three things must be complete. Al-ilmu, al-khulus min al-shirk wa al-wala wal-bara. Then the third level of association with people is we say al-intimahu wal-muwalat wa as-suhba. So there can be suhba, that is, there can be social interaction. So social interaction may be allowed even with people that doesn't share the same belief as you. So you may have reason to interact with them socially, and that is not forbidden. And that is what that verse is actually talking about. So you may need to interact. You may be living in the same environment. They may be your neighbor. You cannot be isolated. So, but you know your limit. They know their limit. And at the same time, you have to give them their right. You don't fight unjustly, and you don't oppress people for no reason. You don't say, Islam says we should not have love for them in the heart, but that does not mean you should also oppress or cheat or do injustice to people. No. In fact, if you study life of Prophet Muhammad, majority of people that accept Islam is from his good relation with them when they are not Muslims. There's one day a mushrik came to Prophet and he addressed him in an improper way. The Sahaba, they were not comfortable. They wanted to hit him, they wanted to expel him. Prophet said, leave him. What do you want? He said, I want you to give me this. After he has insulted Prophet asked him, is that sufficient? He said, no, it's not sufficient. Prophet said, hand it to him. He said, is it sufficient? He said, no, it's not sufficient. Prophet said, hand more. Is it sufficient? He said, it's not sufficient. Until when he said sufficient, he left. Then he went to his relative, said, I've met the best person I've ever seen on earth. Then he came back to Prophet and said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. So in other words, when Islam says you should not be emotionally attached or you should not love people from the heart, that does not actually mean you should also be exhibiting hostility to them unnecessarily, or you should be fighting them. No. You should rather exhibit good behavior, good character. You should show them the beauty of Islam. But that should not lead you to having or sympathy or emotion for them from your heart. If you do, it means you're already part of them. I think this is not confusion. I think there is no confusion here. Because the general assumption is that when you are doing good to people, you love people. But it's not always. It's not what? You may do good to people in order to what? To avoid their evil. Or in order what? To encourage them to do good. Or in order to what? To invite them to be part of Islam. Like the case of Prophet we have just mentioned. and you also do good to people because you love them. On this act of it, Allah bless people, Allah do good to people, sometimes not because Allah love them. In fact, sometimes like Allah says, فَلَمَّا نَسُوا مَا ذُكِّرُوا بِهِ فَتَحْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ حَتَّى إِذَا
فَرِحُوا بِمَا أُوتُوا أَخَذْنَاهُمْ بَغْتَةً.
Hatta said, when they ignore our admonition, when they turn deaf ear to our instruction, when they become heedless of our guidance, Allah said, فَتَحْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ أَبْوَابَ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ. We make life easy for them. We give them enjoyment in this world. We open the door of all good things to them. That is to say, the fact that you are enjoying in this world does not mean Allah loves you. In fact, it may be because Allah hates you. Like, look at this case. Allah said, they didn't listen to us. What did we do to them? Fatahna alayhim abwaaba what? The door of all good things, we make it easy for them. Like the Western world, like everybody wants to be like them. It doesn't actually mean Allah loves you. The fact that you are making worldly progress, that does not mean. Allah says, "Fatana alayhi abwaaba kulli shay." Hatta idha farihu bima utu. It is just like something that is it's just like Allah mentioned in another verse. Allah says, "Fala yazabanna allazina kafaru annama numli lahum huwa khairul lahum innama numli lahum liyazdadu." We are only giving them respite so that they will increase in their sins, since they have chosen that particular way. Even Prophet said, "Inna Allah la yumli dhalim hatta idha aqatahu." Allah will give respite to a dhalim. He will be committing sin, violating rights of people. Then he will be enjoying his life, and that will make him to feel comfortable that we are very smart. Nothing can happen to us. We have been doing it, and you that you don't even see the way we are making progress, we are enjoying our life. See your own position. Allah say, when Allah gets hold of him, he will not be able to escape. Allah said, "Inna kaydi." We give a respite, but my plan cannot be what? You cannot break the plan of Allah. So in other words, the fact that you are making progress in this world does not mean that's a sign of the love of Allah for you. It doesn't mean you are on the right path. So where we have actually gone, because I've been notified that our time is up. So inshallah, next time we still continue on those points, that the level of association with people based on Islamic principle, they actually cease. So there are some of them that you shouldn't do at all, like al-intimahu. You should not have a love from your heart to anybody that is against Islam or anti-Islam or fight Islam, whether secretly or openly, and you are aware of it. You should not have any sympathy or affection to that person. If you do, you are already part of them. On the day of Qiyamah, you'll be resurrected together with them. But when it comes to social interaction, to some level, you can actually do it, and that does not mean you should also do injustice to people. It is against the principle of Islam. May Allah give us better understanding of His speech, and may Allah assist us and forgive us, and may Allah give us love of our brothers in Islam. And we should also know that the bond that is between us is Islam. So the bond between us is Islam. That is why Islam has no race, no boundary. Allah says, "Ya ayyuhan nasu, inna khalaqnakum min dhakarin wa untha wa ja'alnakum shu'uban wa qabaila." The reason why we make you in different races, you are black, you are white, you are Arab, you are blonde, you are this, or ethnic group, you are Yoruba, you are Hausa, you are Igbo, or we create it from different color. Allah says, it's an organization plan. It's a way to organize people. You imagine in this world, there is no boundary, there is no everything just enter each other. There will be disorderness. There will be no arranged organization. Allah said, we only do that as a way of organization. So it's the only choice, the only thing that makes difference between you, Lord, is fear of Allah. So Islam is the only God. That's why Allah said, so anywhere Muslim meets, they are brothers, without consideration that you are black, you are white, you are this, you are African, you are this. No, that's one of the Jahiliyyah. That is one of the un-Islamic belief and practice. May Allah guide us and protect us. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. We ask Allah to preserve our Ustad upon goodness and reward our Ustad abundantly and every one of us. If there is any question from the brothers, we should still invite. Now, bismillah.
While
on the course of delivery, he said we should not show any form of love to anyone who despise Islam, or perhaps who have shown animosity to Islam and Islam and the full. So I want to ask this question. So what about if those individuals are even from Islam? Perhaps when they are showing some sort of hatred toward the Sahaba of Rasulullah or towards like whatever that have happened in the past, we are now seeing some sort of hatred or abuse coming from
the Sahaba.
Yes, coming from a particular quarters to those Sahaba or some individual in the past. And you know, Islam cannot stand without the Sahaba. If it tries as possible to bring them down, it means that the credibility of Islam in itself is going to be questioned.
Yeah.
So what about those individuals? If we have some sort of hatred towards such individual, are we transgressing at all?
Maybe I was unable to talk on some other aspect of this association because we can actually group them broadly into two categories. People from outside Islam and people from within the Islam. The case of people from outside Islam, there is no confusion about that. It is very clear. Then people from within the Islam, we can categorize them into three. We can have Al-Munafiqun, Al-Fasiqun, Wal-Asul. So Al-Munafiqun, and even the Munafiqun can be classified into two. We have Nifaqul Amali or Nifaqul what? I'tiqadi. So Nifaqul Amali is when somebody exhibits some quality or characteristic of Nifaq, but in his heart there's no Nifaq there. Like one hadith of Prophet, he said, Ayatul Munafiq Allah. So there are three signs of Munafiq. In others they say four. When he talks, he lies. When you promise, he breaks. When you put a trust within him, he cheats. So it's only a Munafiq that do that. So you will hate that act of that particular person. But if you still notice that he's still a Muslim, you still love him for that Islam. You cannot actually abandon him or condemn him because it is very dangerous. But if it's nifaqul i'tiqadi that is confirmed that somebody is just pretend to be Muslim, so it may actually be very clear to somebody, and we give us some of the signs that will make us to understand that somebody is actually having nifaqul i'tiqadi. So if it is that one, then it is equal a responsibility, a duty on us to avoid, to distance ourselves from such people, and to hate them with passion. Because Munafiqun are more dangerous than the Kufar. They are more dangerous. Because Kufar, they have already made their stance to be known. But this is Munafiqun is very close to you and is there to harm you actually. So, and one of the signs of the Munafiqun actually is that they will hate Muslims. Either Muslim of now or Muslim of yesterday. Like the case of Sahaba that's mentioned. Nobody will hate a Sahaba and claim to be a Muslim. Wallah is a Munafiq. When Prophet Salah said, La tasubu ashabi. You should not insult my Sahaba. Law anna ahadakum anfaqa mislahu dhaba ma balaga. If you are to spend money in form of gold that is equivalent to the what? To the size of Mount Hood. Do you know the size of Mount Hood? Mount Hood is 6 kilometers in length, 3 kilometers in breadth, and 1 kilometer height. So that is a very huge amount, isn't it? Turn it to gold and spend it in the cause of Allah. That is a great act of good deed, isn't it? With despite that act, if you have to spend all those on, what you have done will not be equivalent to half of the deed of the Sahaba. Then how does it make sense? You see, if we have two people, and one is superior than the other, and the one that is inferior is insulting the one that is superior, does it make any sense? This is the case of that person. Because look at the way Prophet compares Sahaba to non-Sahaba. that no matter the good deeds you do, it will not be equivalent to what half of what they have done. Now you are insulting. How is that even making sense, for goodness sake? Let's assume that comparison is not there. Let's assume. For anybody who has sense, anybody, in fact, there's an instance of Prophet that said, anybody who have died, you should leave his case to Allah. Even if he's a kafir, you are not the one to judge him. Leave him to Allah, he has died. The reason why we may have a case with you is because you want to tamper with our identity. Our identity on the hands of it is Islam. But immediately we are no more, so we don't have any case with you. We leave it to Allah. So this is the Sahaba, they have died. So if you don't even look at it in that case again, if you look at it in terms of age, how many years ago? Let's assume they are still living till now. Will you be equivalent to them in age? Are you not supposed to respect your elders? In fact, there's no way we look at it that will make sense in any way. So insulting Sahaba is a very clear sign of nifaq. That's the way I understand it. Except, in fact, the Sahaba generally, Allah has praised them. Quran praised them in many places. And Hadith of Prophet praised them. Why will it be possible? If any one of them make mistake, look at, we are just mentioning three of them that Allah said Allah has forgiven them. Who has told you that Allah has forgiven you? And you know one thing? Any good deed you do, you cannot beat yourself that Allah accepts it. But any evil or sin you commit, it is very certain that it is written down. Then this is Sahaba that Allah says He has accepted their deed, He has forgiven their sin. Then how will it make sense to you to be insulting them? It's a clear sign of nifaq for Allah's sake. So, and anybody that has that kind of nifaq should be hated. Though we may start by sermonizing, advising, guiding the person. Maybe he's making, maybe he doesn't understand. Maybe he's following some misguided people. But if he insisted, then we have no other. How can you associate yourself with? Because anybody that hates Sahaba hates Prophet. You cannot tell me you love Prophet and you hate Sahaba. Just like some people who are pretending that they are Quraniyun. They believe in Quran but they don't believe in Hadith. Who said the Quran descended from the heaven and you saw it in your front? So the Sahaba you are insulting. So the Prophet wrote the Quran down by his hand when he was alive. Did he write it down? So is it not this same Sahaba, they gathered it, is it not from their memory or from their effort? And you believe in that same Quran? Is it not an hadith that told you that this Quran come to you? How are you making any sense? The prayer you pray today, where in the Quran did they say you should pray 5 times daily? Where? And so on and so forth. So it is just a nifaq. It's a nifaq. Prophet say, I believe in Quran, I don't believe in that. It's a nifaq. Because no matter the way you look at it or you think about it, you will not make any logical sense. So for such people, hating them, distancing oneself from them is actually a responsibility. It's a religious responsibility to be done. And we have the fasikun. So the fasikun can also be grouped into two. So fasikun are actually sinners. We have some sinners that are unintentional and we have some sinners that are intentional. For the unintentional sinner, we are all sinners. So just the level of our sin may be different and the manner we are all sinners. So we are supposed to be overlooking people's mistakes and to make effort to correct them. But if it is intentional sinners and that sin does not make him to go out of Islam, because fisk can actually make somebody to go out of Islam. Like Allah talk about shaitan. Allah says, so you go out of, because when we are created for a purpose. Anybody that go out of that purpose is a fasik. Because fusuk means to go out of another. So the manner and the extent of going out of it may be different, and the degree may be different. It may be out of negligence or ignorance or some other things that may not make you to be a kafir. But sometimes it actually makes somebody to become a kafir. If somebody become a kafir and he became hostile to Allah and His Messenger and religion, then we have no any other thing except to become hostile to that person also. So we have many cases of that. Let's look at the case of Prophet Ibrahim. So when he invited his people, he said, "Wabada abayna wa bayna kul what?" He said, "Enemy between me and you has started right from today." So may Allah safeguard us and guide us. I will something like.
Good evening. Thank you for this wonderful lecture. My question is about where it said, "Whosoever dies is going to be resurrected with what he or she loves. My question at that point is, we are in an age where our environmental society has most impact on us. Some of us are born into Muslim homes, but unfortunately, we tend to have this mark of, let me say, we only know Islam by praying. We don't know it by going to Islamic schools and stuff. And I do have friends, because I'll take myself an example from where we do come from. What they knew, or what we knew then, was just masjid as Islam. So most of them have grew so wide and so strong that they are now into this Western world. Some of them tend to have they kind of converted from knowing Islam as going to mosque to what the West has implanted in their heart. And primarily this begins from young age. It's not that they know Islam so well. And now they are trying to fight this, and it's going very hard on them. It's very, very hard. So if this person tends to end in this way, and what is it? It tends to, if this person happens to end, die. It happens to end in this way, fighting this. But since from fighting the fact that he wants to make sure he did good Islamic thing. But what he do is just mosque, which is to pray. He has this attachment to these footballers, to this Western, what I do, the phone doing its thing now, and all of this stuff. And then now at this age, nobody knows when he's going to die. He's trying to fight this, but having this engrossed in him from childhood is making it very hard. So that is.
Well, let me answer it this way. Because of time, I can see that we don't have time by our side. I'm also been there. So you see, in Islam, there's people they call Al-Fatra. Al-Fatra are people who does not have Islamic message, either due to time or due to either geographical location or some other factors. So if genuinely the fault is not from them, like you have access to where you can get knowledge, and you have a sense and ability to do that, and you don't do it, you have no excuse. Like Allah mentioned in Surah Al-Nisa, Allah says, "Allazina tawaffahum al-malaikatu zalimi anfusahum qalu bima kuntum qalu kunna mustadafina qalu alam takunu dullahi wasi'atun fatuhajiru fiha." So is the land of Allah, like they don't allow to practice Islam somewhere, that is why you are not practicing correctly. Allah says, is the land of Allah not fast? Then you do hijrah, you go to somewhere else where you can be able to pass. But Allah gives some exception. Illa al-mustadafin. But those people who are powerless, who have no means, or who are very young, or who are sick, Allah will forgive them. The other factor actually maybe people that live at a time when there was no messenger or prophet. Like between the time of Prophet Isa and Prophet Muhammad. So about 600 years. But factor actually may not be due to time, like I said. It may be due to location. There are some people up to this time, they are still living in remotest part of the world, maybe in some bush, that they don't even know what civilization is. So they don't even live. In fact, they don't wear clothes like we wear clothes. So those people, they don't even know anything about Islam. So the chances that Allah will forgive them. Like Allah mentions what Islam. That Allah said, I will not punish you until my message gets to you. When my message gets to you and you disregard or ignore or you are heedless, then punishment is binding on you. So such a person, if at no time he has not have opportunity or contact with what we guide him or guidance, of course he is to be regarded as. But if he have and he ignore, that has made him to be liable. So may Allah forgive us and guide us. And Allah knows best how to judge. And also the best thing in somebody's life is his heart. Even if you are making mistake now or you are doing something wrong, as long as your heart is good, so Allah will actually make you to die in a way that He will forgive you. Inna Allah la yanzuru ila ajsamikum wala ila suwarikum walakin yanzuru ila qulubikum wa amalikum. Allah doesn't have anything to do with your physical appearance. Allah is what? Allah is looking to your heart. So if your heart is that you want guidance, you want to be guided, you want to know Allah, even if you are doing wrong thing, sometimes you may die in that manner, but nobody will know. That is one of the reference that hadith of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. Inna ahadakum yujma'u ukhluqu fi batni ummihi 40 yawma. So until when he said, hatta ma yakunu bainahu wa bainaha illa dhira'un. So when you have a limited time, then you will die as a kafir. And you have been a mu'min before. Or you have been a kafir and you die as a mu'min. That is why you don't look down upon anybody. You didn't create him and you are not the one to judge him. Your own is to summonize, to advise, to guide, and no more, no less. So you are going to hellfire. How did you know? Allah will punish you. How did you know? And you know one thing? Anything you wish for anybody, the chances that it will come back to you is very high. So you pray for them, you guide them, even the kuffar, you should wish that they were what? They were guided. That is how the prophet. In fact, prophet used to, the thing that makes prophet most sad is that people are not guided. Look at different ways Allah encouraged him in Surah Al-Kahf and also in Surah Al-Fatir. Allah said, do not kill yourself out of sadness. People will feel very sad. What is making you sad? People are not guided. People don't know the road. But you, are you feeling the same sad? Is it not that you are happy that people are not guided? Is it not that you are celebrating it? No, you don't celebrate people's misguidance. You feel sad for them. Though they may misbehave, it's because they don't know. And if they know, they wouldn't have not paid on. They don't care when they see the reality. They will. And you have done your own, and Allah will reward you for what you have done. May Allah guide us. So inshallah we'll stop at this note. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum.